Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the True Words Aren't Beautiful vlog. And here we are in this series of the Just Do Shit philosophy again. Yes, this is now my fourth video recording. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with being on camera and putting myself out in public. Now, I understand there are audio issues for some people, and those are being addressed because one viewer, who is a friend of mine, is about to lend me her USB mic, so audio should drastically improve in a couple of videos after this, once I get that from her. But until then, you'll probably need to use earphones or headphones, because some people who couldn't hear it very well, they, like me, have a crappy Dell laptop, which doesn't have the best speakers, not to mention that the webcam, by some bizarre engineering choice, they have the webcam at the bottom of the screen as opposed to the top. Anyway, so today's topic is on identity. A couple of videos will follow this concept of identity, but I think this one is really important to go through now. The first part, which is, who is Johnny C? And who are you? So, a little bit of a background. As I mentioned in my first video in this series, I started it while I had very suicidal thoughts, and I very nearly did something stupid, but, well, you come here, baby. This one and her sister, who is somewhere else, of course, tell me that I have two very important reasons to live. But the thing with suicidal thoughts is you can't really think or process correctly. So, as I've been through that before, I know what I need to do. I know I need to get help. Once I recognize the signs, I don't pretend nothing's wrong. I don't try to say I'm okay on my own. The worst thing that I've heard people say is, I'm fine, and then they die, or they get hurt, or someone else gets hurt, and everyone suffers. So I went to get help, and part of that process involves answering this question, who is Johnny? So I asked a few friends that because this prompt came when someone said, when you figure out the answer to this, everything will fall into place. So the first part of the identity topic, this one is figuring out who I am and relating that to who you are when it comes to following the just do shit philosophy. The second part, which I will allude to momentarily, is about dissolving your identity. We'll touch a bit more on that later if necessary, but until then, these are one-shot takes, and I just want to get everything out and done with, and everything will improve as time goes by. So when I asked this question to various people, here are some of the answers I got. The first one I got was, I see you as a passionate individual, confident in your ideas. You are always seeking knowledge, striving to be a better human. Seek out challenges, a wanderer. Another friend of mine, you're my friend. You're someone who likes to learn, exercise, and meditate. You take care of other creatures, 2 dogs as I recall. You're a loving and lovable person, direct and earnest in opinion. Another one simply said, whoever you need him to be. Someone else says, I don't even know the answer to who is Brian. I believe that it's the ego that seeks an answer to that question. What I do find fulfilling answering is, what activities, thoughts, places, and people give Brian energy? Another friend just said, John is John. We are all ourselves. Trying to be someone else never works. Now, before I go on, I did let everyone know that part of the reason I was asking that question, that prompt, was because I was having suicidal thoughts, and I am trying to get better. I am seeking help. One of the standout responses I got was, Johnny is my friend who has a lot of value to this world but who is hurting. Please stop wasting his time and get him the help he needs instead of playing games. Well, I can agree with this as well, simply because I have had some bad therapists before, and while I am an advocate of mental health care, it is something that I find can vary from therapist to therapist. They can actually make you feel worse about yourself, and they think that they're improving you by breaking down your ego, breaking down your issues, which on paper sounds good, but there's a lack of empathy and a lack of gentleness and timing. When you're limited to a 45-minute to 1 hour session, some of them just want to go to the next patient. And other times, these therapists project their own issues, and they also suffer from secondary trauma, where listening to the traumas and taking that burden upon your shoulders can end up affecting you deeply. In fact, this goes with a characterization of a couple of friends I spoke with as well the other day. Excuse me. One of them said, Johnny is misunderstood because people will hear or see a few blips, bits and pieces, and then make assumptions and think badly of you. The other one said, Johnny is stuck in the past and also focused too much on helping others when he should be helping himself. Another girl said, you're approachable, you're interesting, and you're very analytical. You're very helpful, very kind. You spent time doing my numerology reading to help me understand my personality and who I am. Another girl who I did a tarot reading for said, you're kind and mysterious. I said, okay. So let's also read the response from one of my art therapists who I met a couple years ago. She says, you're limitless. No one can tell you who you are. Then let's read something from an ex-girlfriend here. The Johnny I know is someone who wants to help people and make a difference in this world. A spiritual practitioner, an animal lover, and a talented writer with so many stories just waiting to be told. I've also been inspired by your photographic visual storytelling as well. So, that's encouraging. Yes, an ex-girlfriend. I mean, not every ex-girlfriend has to have a lot of animosity or a bad breakup. So, here's another one from a friend. So, Johnny is a sensei, a Reiki practitioner, a guardian to several doggos, someone who's skilling up as an illustrator and a cook. I don't think... Oh, sorry, that's not part of the message right there. Anyway, that was a friend who I haven't really seen for a couple of years, but that's his opinion of me. Now, I'll read verbatim something else that someone wrote to me, which is, let's see. Johnny is an amazing thinker and martial artist with the goals of peace, a person who has traveled to learn and to help people in a lot of countries, an avid lover of creating stories and that wants to create artwork of fantasy, mythological, and themes that bind human experiences along with the supernatural. Johnny's my old friend that amazes me with what he has accomplished and has the potential to accomplish much more. By the way, one of the things I think you may want to think about is your voiceover work. You have an amazing speaking voice, and I think you could succeed in this line. Just something to think about if you haven't already. Actually, I have done a few commercial voiceovers. I will leave a link in the description to this video so you can see some of my work there. Now let's read another message from my friend, my broski. He says, the real Johnny is a caring, genuine, easygoing guy that just wants to be treated as others treat him. Then my friend, who I worked with and I know from grad school in an old NGO I wrote for, I think you are a dedicated friend committed to trying to make the world a better place and the best writer I've ever known. And a Zennial. You taught me that term. Someone super well read and someone who was a father to his pups. The other one just said, you're a friend. That's it. Then, let's read this line from a friend I know from acting class, and also a fellow writer and mystic. Johnny is a man of a great destiny who has already changed many people's lives. Your gift is needed in this world, so please stay with us. Now let me make another final comment that I've read aloud from someone whom I met in Cambodia, a nurse. I had a crush on her, but then after getting to know her, I realized, all right, well, I think we need to establish that this kind of relationship has a certain boundary which does not currently lead to romance. And I accept that. This was in 2013. Johnny, you're a charismatic person with more intelligence than anyone I know. You care deeply about your friends and the world around you. I've always seen you as someone that can make a difference in people's lives through your love of holistic art and medicine. The gifts we are blessed with are sometimes a curse. You've shown me compassion the first day we met in a faraway land, and I'll never forget that. Please continue to get help and believe that you can overcome anything. So, for context, I met her in Cambodia, and we walked around, hung out in Pub Street in Siem Reap, and I gave her a spontaneous Reiki session, and then I said, I got a question. Are you pregnant? She says, yeah, I am. I said, oh, cool. So, these are some of the things that I have been told about who is Johnny. Now, if we ask my ex, Dana, and my ex, Leah, or my ex, Letty, these are all people who want nothing to do with me. I've elaborated in previous videos, particularly for Dana, what I've done, and why after a year of interacting with her, she suddenly ghosts me. So we broke up and tried to remain amicable. She has my cats. Then one day she gets hospitalized, and I send her a little cash. She says, I'm glad that the cats have a place to stay if anything ever happens to me and I can't take care of them. And I said, yeah, don't rule me out as an option to be there. I care for you and I'm happy to support you in any way. Not even a week later, I'm blocked. It seems like it was almost immediately that I'm blocked. No response, my phone number is blocked in all messaging apps. I don't know what happened. I just thought that we were doing pretty well and that we could at least maintain some sort of amicability, as I have with a couple of ex-girlfriends still. But some people just want to hold on to that anger and hurt. And I'm no different because I carry a lot of shame. Shame, not necessarily guilt. Guilt, as I mentioned in the first video, is when you feel bad about something you did and you try not to do it again. Shame is where you feel like a piece of shit because you feel like you fucked up, you're a bad person, and you deserve anything bad happening to you for your fuck-ups. And that is how I feel. I am owning up to every single fuck-up and fucked-up thing I did in my relationship with Dana, and this whole series has been a result of that, as well as inspiring, along with my friends, the just do shit philosophy, which she herself practices as well. I mean, many times we cry about not having the perfect circumstances, but if we just do that, then we'll just get paralyzed and nothing will ever happen. We'll just get stuck in this perpetual victim mentality. We deserve better, but the question is, how much are you going to work? What are you willing to do to deserve what comes to you? You're not entitled to better, but you can deserve it. And whether it's granted to you or not is another. Do you deserve to be treated as a dignified human being by everyone? Yes. Are you entitled to it? Well, we don't know, because someone might be having a bad day and she might just not like your hair, think your voice annoys her, and so she just wants to treat you like a piece of shit. But that's not about you, that's about her. Someone thinks that I'm a piece of shit because I told a joke about cannibals. And I say, okay, well, cool. That's just my sense of humor. I wasn't even talking to her, she just happened to be in the vicinity, and she says, oh, well, that's harassment because you're talking about vegan cannibal meat. And I just say, hi, you're not part of this conversation, and I don't know how this affects you. Why are you even eavesdropping? So, that being said, who is Johnny? Let me also bring up something in pop culture with a recent Spider-Man annual comic that was released a couple months ago. The basic storyline is a villain, an upgraded villain, the Living Brain, kidnaps Spider-Man and a lot of his friends, and the Sinister Six, a bunch of supervillains who are Spider-Man's nemesis. The purpose is not to hurt anyone, but to challenge Spider-Man in order to find a query to a question that the AI, that the Living Brain, wants to know. The question is, who is Spider-Man? When I find out the answer to who Spider-Man is, I will release the hostages. Spider-Man then says, all right, I guess I have to unmask. But he's stopped by the Living Brain, who then says, no, I don't mean the identity of the individual who dresses up as Spider-Man. I want to know, who is Spider-Man? Throughout the course of the story, of course, there are a few faces punched, a few buildings, a few rooms smashed up. And eventually, it comes to a point that the supervillains, the Sinister Six, are about to kill the living brain by unplugging it and destroying it. Spider-Man stops them after freeing all the hostages and all the supervillains, but he also makes sure to save the living brain. Because everyone matters, no matter what they've done. Villain, civilian, hero. He will save everyone's life. The living brain, the AI then says, now we know what the answer to who is Spider-Man. And that's why my question was, who is Johnny? Who is Johnny C? So, you heard all the positive feedback, you heard some negative stuff, you heard some cynical stuff, you heard some people who weren't really into the philosophical game here. And those all inform me and remind me that, okay, so this is how some people see me. There are also negative people who just think I'm a weirdo, or some people think I'm creepy. That's fine. Some say I have crazy eyes. Some people say I have intimidating eyes. That is what drew several girlfriends my way, because they said that I have this fire in my eyes. And it can unnerve people or attract them. But I'm very intense. That's just my personality. So, that includes Dana. And that includes, well, pretty much every girlfriend the past 15, 20 years. Yeah. Always my eyes. So, that being said, the just do shit philosophy. Many times, you are not your actions, but at the same time, you are your actions. They do not limit you to who you can be. If you choose to be better and you choose to be a different person, then who you were yesterday is not the same as you are today. Who I was 17 minutes ago before filming this vlog is not the same person, because I process and analyze every single moment, just like you do. The identity game, figuring out who you are, relates to figuring out what you want. When you ask the very first question to just do shit, the very first question you ask yourself is, what do I want? My best friend told me that. Everything begins with this step. So in my own process, when I ask what I want, I say, yeah, I want a second chance for everything in life. Second chance to my ex-girlfriend, Dana. Second chance at a new lease on life, because I walked away from my 2 former income streams when I lost them both at the end of October, where I decided I no longer wish to teach internal martial arts, and I don't really like to be involved in that kind of community anymore. I walked away from the NGO world because I no longer found it fulfilling or satisfying when I found a lot of the larger organizations tend to walk all over people and rely on goodwill, as opposed to fair compensation. So, that being said, who is Johnny? Johnny wants to be better. Johnny wants a second chance. Johnny wants to try out this vlog thing, see where it goes, just like I tried it out with moving to Indonesia 11 years ago for an internship I had with an NGO, joining the Peace Corps, and going to Tanzania and deciding after several months that it wasn't my thing. Trying out Reiki healing for a while and deciding I didn't really like the community, and I didn't like that everyone expected it to fix all their problems. Johnny is a guy who is hurting and very vulnerable right now, full of a lot of guilt, shame, regret, but also believing that with this series that is very therapeutic and healing for me, perhaps some people can be inspired to be better. Maybe I can make some new friends. Maybe I will have that second chance with someone that I've been hoping for. But the other thing about the just do shit philosophy, everything is a learning experience. Everything is an experiment and an opportunity. Failed relationship, that was an experiment. It was a learning opportunity, and I learned a lot, and that's why this series is dedicated to everything I learned in that failed relationship with Dana, or rather, where I fucked up. It is a chance to express that gratitude, and no matter how ill you might think of me, well, I own up to it. I had a friend, the same Bangladeshi friend from Thailand whom I met. Yes, there are people who are not Thai who can live in Thailand, just like I can be Chinese living in the Philippines. But I'm also Filipino, and that doesn't matter. First, she gave me a lot of praise about being meditative and very different, kind, and caring from when I knew her 11 years ago in Bangkok. As soon as she watches my third video in this series, she says, "Oh, well, yeah, you kind of suck. So you should let her go because she doesn't deserve you. She deserves to be loved the way that she is." I'm just, hi, please save your judgments and your projections and your anger. I am the kind of person who is recognizing my mistakes and owning up to them and trying to be better and inspire others to be better, including giving second chances and forgiveness. What you are doing is projecting your anger onto other people and saying, "Oh, well, you don't deserve a second chance because you were shitty then." Completely going against the philosophy of what I've been talking about, and it's more about her than it is about me. She sees herself in Dana, and as a result, she gets angry and says, "Oh, I wouldn't forgive anyone if they wronged me." Okay, cool. But what if that person is willing to make amends? What if that person has demonstrated that? Yeah, they don't deserve your kindness or your forgiveness or your second chances if they've had enough. But the universe knows that sincerity, and people respond to that. I mentioned before in my previous videos, if I'm doing everything right, then I have my peace because I know I'm doing this for me. And